Good morning. We will call the June 4th, 2024 City Council meeting to order. Ask Councilmember Julie Holt to lead us in our invocation and pledge. If you will, please stand.
I pledge allegiance.
No, you got to pray first.
Oh, well, okay, sorry. All right. Will you pray with me? Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for everything that you have blessed us with. Please open our ears and our hearts to hear today and make good decisions for the city. Thank you for everything that you provide for us and providing for our city, and help guide us to make wise choices. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item 3 is roll call. Marquise, please see that all council members are present. Item 4 is approval of the minutes from the May 7th, 2024 City Council meeting. Those minutes were emailed out to you. If there are no additions or corrections, they stand approved as read. We have one recognition today. All of our boards and commissions are important, but one board and commission doesn't meet all the time. They don't have regularly scheduled meetings, but when they do, they're taking up some very important topics when it comes to our first responders. And so that this commission is one of the ones that carries great weight in our city. And you serve on that commission, serve for 2 terms, and this commissioner has commended very well and been a very great part of our commission. So I want to recognize Ms. Estelle Davis for 8 years of service on our Civil Service Commission. Next item is invitation for public comment. All right, now looks like we have one signed up for public comment, and Commissioner Sheila Goblin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have on my Black Lives Matter. That's because it was the closest thing to match my outfit. So I want to tell you all lives matter. I came here today because I got a phone call. I won't say it was concerned citizen, community citizen that wanted me to be here because they thought something was going to be on the agenda. As I see it, I don't see what I was told, so I don't know if it got pulled or what, but I'll see. But while I was here, I saw something else that was interesting that I thought I needed to talk about on the agenda, and that's in regard to the Jackson Community Development Agency Board reappointment of Ms. Vicki Lake. I think Ms. Vicki Lake is doing a great job, but at the county commission meeting last month, I asked about the bylaws of the Jackson Community Development Agency. I talked to an attorney for us. He couldn't give me any answers. And it was in regard to appointing a county commissioner to serve a 1-year term. But according to this bylaw, it says the county commissioner serves a 2-year term. So of course, you can do how you want with the bylaws. But my thing, if you have bylaws, you should go by them. According to the bylaws of what I read, it says a year to year, which I'm not saying that you're not serving a year to year, Ms. Lake, but it says the agency will make this change. But the city council today is making this appointment. So my concern is the fact that I just would like to understand about the bylaws and the fact that, I see certain things are not being followed, and you don't have to follow them, but if you're gonna not follow them, write them the way you want for them to be followed. So I'm not, you're doing a great job, Ms. Lake, but I just want more clarity. And I want more people in the community to know about things that's happening, like that call I got about what I'm gonna see if it's gonna be talked about, that the community needs to know about major things, especially with community block monies. In my community, I live at 747 Lane Avenue, and there's several community grant buildings going up on Dupree Street. There's one on Lane. These houses cost a lot of money. And I'm just saying, people need to be aware of what's going on, because they're spending their money. You can get people in homes, but can you get them to stay there? Stay in homes and pay for them. A lot of times we get people in these homes and they stay there, but they don't stay there long. So, you know, but that's basically all I came to talk about. I'm not against Ms. Lake being appointed. She does a great job, but I'm just concerned with this bylaws of the Jackson Community Development Agency, and I want somebody to answer my question in regard to that. And I'm not here for you today to answer the question. I want them to answer, the agency. But as far as the appointment, I'm not for or against it, but I do have concern.
Right,
but I do want to know
thank
this.
you, Commissioner.
Is this for a one-year appointment, Vicky Lake?
It's a 3-year term, I believe.
It's a 3-year term?
Yeah, I think what the terms are. Thank you, Commissioners. 3
Oh,
minutes.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mayor, let me ask you before we go forward. The gentleman from ARM is here, and I thought that he signed or intended to sign, but you didn't say that he was there.
He didn't address what agenda item he wanted to discuss.
He is here, and I think he wants to talk to the item of panhandling. That's on the agenda
He didn't sign
today.
up for any agenda, he just signed his name.
Well, I would ask that that he be allowed to speak, and that minor omission be disregarded.
And suspend the rules that allow him to do that based on the policy that we have.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. McKinney? Go, you.
I was moving to suspend the rules.
All right. Second, all right.
As I said, Mr. McKinney is here from ARM, and he came at my request. I had sent him a copy of the proposed ordinance for him to examine, just to see what his position was on that, and he's free to share any concerns that he might have or not have.
All right. You wanna start
Well,
your time?
I'm not in objection or against. I was asked just to speak on it. I guess more clarity, once we get through it, is clarity, understanding the ordinance of how it will be policed or looked at with some of the things in the item. That was basically it, and asking if there would be more educational part of it, where we can educate, because homelessness is a complex situation, and my concern is if it would be just more people being arrested or put in jail with no educational piece or understanding the complexity of homelessness. So that was my only concern. He just asked it public. I thought it would be on there, remember to ask questions. So that was my only concern, is how it will be done, and for educational piece of understanding of that ordinance will be brought more in clarity to constituents in the community, so we can have a better understanding of how it will be policed and understood of where that part of it was.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry, yes,
I
sir.
have a quick-
Could you give us briefly how many people you're serving and kind of what you're doing, Norms?
This past year, I'm with Airlift Ministries. We're downtown Jackson. Last year, we served over 131 homeless males. That's just male through our shelter. Probably 100, close to 200 counting men and women through our shelter last year for homelessness in Madison County.
All right, thank you, Freddie. All right, move on to first reading. That is proposed budget amendment, general fund to recognize revenue from abolishing the Exit 85 tip in the amount of $2,284,822.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As the mayor described, this proposed budget amendment originates or results from a decision that the city council and the county and the industrial development board made some time ago to, in essence, close, if you will, or abolish is the word there, the Exit 85 TIF district. So through that, some of the funds were invested and they had to mature and that type of thing. But the city recently received a refund check, if you will, from the TIF district totaling $1,172,308. In addition to that amount, back in FY '21 and FY '22, the city calculated the funding that would be due to the Exit 85 TIF district for those years. We actually accrued that expense, recognized that expense, but we never, decision was made not to actually write that check. So now that the TIF district is being closed, we will need to reverse that accrued expense and recognize that impact on our income. So the total budget amendment is $2,284,822 that's proposed.
All right, any questions from council? Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Item 2 is consideration of an ordinance to amend Title 10, Chapter 1 of the Code of Ordinances, Animals. Linda?
Morning, Mayor and Council. Once again, the Code Committee has been working on Title 10, this time Chapter 1. And we had a few housekeeping things that the Jackson Animal Care Center has pointed out to us that needed to be changed in our code just to make for better enforcement. For example, we didn't have a clear definition of abandonment of an animal. We didn't have clear definitions of proper food, proper water, and proper shelter. And now with these changes to the code, we have exact definitions that are easy to enforce and easy for the judge, if in fact it does come before the judge at some point, for him to also enforce these. You'll also notice that there are rabies requirements, there are identification of animal requirements in here, and probably the most important thing, it would be the type of fencing. For example, we have listed, or I guess it's the way you keep your dog under control, and that would be fencing, invisible fencing, and tethering. And there are specific rules on heights of fence, materials of fencing, and for tethering, how long the tether can be, how a dog can be tethered. And then one more thing, no roadside or parking lot sales of animals either, except if the seller of the animal is a licensed, breeder or pets. He has a license with the state of Tennessee to sell pets. For example, like a pet store, that type of thing.
All right, any questions from council?
Yes, in section 10-102, there's language here, it's to be unlawful for any person raising, owning, or keeping any dog or other animal to willfully suffer or permit any such creature to run at large. Willfully suffer, what is that? What's
Well,
willfully suffer?
that-
Is that an archaic term that
It is,
nobody
and
uses anymore?
Probably, and that's not something that we suggested a change to, but it means to allow.
Okay, well, why keep it in there since nobody
That's a
uses
good
that?
point.
Somebody might think it means you're causing the animal grief or something like that.
Good point.
Should that be taken out?
Should it be? In the legal world, of course, anybody who's enforcing it would understand that it means to allow.
All right, thank you. And the other question I have, in section 107B, it uses the words "tau." What is tau? I don't know what that is. Proper restraint, section 107B. As an alternative to traditional fencing, touts are overhead cable runs.
As I understood a tie-out, as it was explained to me in the code committee, I didn't know what that word meant either, but it's where you have a dog that's tied to some sort of object that's stationary, and they are, they can run from, with that cord that's attached to them, they can have a space to run.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I think essentially it means the same thing as tethering to most people, but
All right,
Any additional questions?
I move that the amendment be made, subject to striking out the words "willfully suffer."
Can we do that, Teresa, without?
oh, sure, yeah.
Yes, you can.
Second.
We have a motion to adopt the amendment with striking out willfully suffer in a second. Any further discussion from council?
Should we just,
Adopt amendment first.
should we, just one
Yeah, to do
moment,
the,
Mr. Chairman.
Hmm?
Teresa, do we have to go back to code for that, or can that be something?
Give me tell me again where that's found.
107, I'm sorry, 102, 10-102, in the first paragraph,
I think you could
first sentence.
safely eliminate willfully suffer or, those three words.
Mhm. Yes.
And change it to allow?
Well, it's already got permit in there, so it would then read, it shall be unlawful for any person raising, owning, or keeping any dog or other animal to permit any such creature to run at large.
So the initial motion, council needs to be to amend that, to strike out that piece, because we're gonna amend what's presented, and then we can come back and vote on it as amended.
Right, and then there's over 3 words now, willfully suffer or. Those are 3 words to be stricken.
Okay,
That's
so
the
your
motion.
motion is to strike those 3 words?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Have a second to strike those 3 words? All right, so we're voting on striking the willfully suffer or from the proposed amended ordinance. Any further discussion from council on the amendment? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8-1.
All right, so now we're back to the ordinance amendment as amended. Any further discussion on that? Is there a motion to adopt as amended?
I so move.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
All right. Item 3 is consideration of an ordinance to amend Appendix B of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Jackson, the OSHA plan.
This is a simple one for you. We have learned during our Municode updating process that Appendix B to our code was not the correct version of our OSHA plan. And here's how it happened. Every 7 years, we are required to update our OSHA plan, and risk management and HR take care of that. They timely did that in 2023, and the state said, oh, you can do that either by resolution or by ordinance. And so they did it by resolution. So this council's already approved this OSHA plan by resolution. But unfortunately, our code requires it to be as Appendix B. So it has to come before you as an ordinance to get it into Appendix B. So this is just moving the current plan into Appendix B of the code.
All right, any questions from council?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
All right, item 4 is consideration of an ordinance to amend the text of the official code of the City of Jackson, Title 11, Municipal Offenses, Chapter 5, Offenses Against the Peace and Quiet.
We've always had a panhandling ordinance for as long as I can remember, and it looks like it's been part of the state code for a long time as well. This is a broadening of the wording in our city code. There is a big difference legally between aggressive panhandling and regular panhandling, if you will. Aggressive panhandling, according to this new ordinance, would be if someone approaches someone on the street and after the person tells them no, they still keep approaching them, or if they touch them and they're an unwanted touch, or if they block their way, or if they use abusive language with them, or any kind of way make that person feel threatened, then it's considered aggressive panhandling. Now, under this ordinance, all aggressive panhandling is outlawed. It's a violation of the city code to do any type of aggressive panhandling anywhere at any time, okay? Then, step aside from that, you've got regular panhandling, which this new ordinance covers. Regular panhandling would be doing it in the time and the place and the manner that the city code allows. And what we've done here, this is from the Code Committee, what the Code Committee has done here is to give you some time, place, and manner restrictions for those people who panhandle on the streets of Jackson. In other words, they have to do it in a place that's safe. They have to do it in a place that's secure. They can't do it on the bypass. They can't do it on major intersections. They can't do it where the speed limit is greater than 35 miles an hour. They can't do it between sundown and sunup. So we have these time, place, and manner restrictions which protect the panhandlers' First Amendment rights, but it also protects the rest of the citizens of the city of Jackson. For example, if a panhandler is at the corner of the bypass and some major roadway, and someone stops to give them money, and then, you know, it causes a wreck, it's not safe, we've been told, to have panhandlers on those very busy intersections. So that's what this ordinance does. And Tom Corley's here. If you have questions about the policing of it, I think the gentleman had questions about that. I'll let him address those.
I have a question.
Yeah.
As far as the panhandle, is it possible to give them a warning first? I mean, because I don't want to just, all of a sudden we just start locking folks up, at least give them a warning and a couple warnings, opportunity to get us,
Right.
because a lot of them are out there panhandling for a reason. We hate that, but can we kind of give them a warning?
Right,
or something?
to the gentleman's point, we are gonna be going through an education phase of this, and putting the word out there. In fact, we discussed this morning of printing a card or something that we can distribute, that outlines where they can and where they cannot panhandle, so we can provide that information out. So obviously, our officers are gonna also have to go through some training to make sure they are fully aware of the change if this is passed. And then we will do an education piece, and they won't be going out there and initially writing citations.
If I can add one more thing, it does also allow the city judge, when he sees a panhandler come in who's been cited, who actually needs help, and the judge can refer that person to an agency for help. That hasn't been in our code before. So I think it maybe addresses your question of those people who sincerely need help. Can this process help them? And the answer is yes. The other thing, for those people who are serious violators of this, and they become something that we call a public nuisance, the city attorney can take these cases to court, to Chancery Court, and get an injunction against that person from further committing those crimes. And that will give a lot of strength to those people who are serious violators.
Mr. Chairman, so Chief Corley, I appreciate the approach, having a bit of compassion, and I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
Ms. Lynn, just to try and paint a clearer picture of what exactly this will look like. So if you're walking to your vehicle, someone approaches you saying, hey, do you have some money or something of that nature, that kind of gets into that aggressive panhandling.
According to the way it's written now, if they ask you, then you can say no, and if they go away, then that shouldn't be a violation of, they would not be an aggressive panhandler at that point.
If they persist.
If they are in the correct place to do the panhandling.
Right.
And if it's the correct time, right?
Yeah.
So if it's between sundown and sunup, then no, they're an aggressive panhandler. If it's in a place where the speed limit's more than 35 miles per hour, then they're an aggressive panhandler. They have to be in the correct place and do it at the correct time in the correct way.
So if we have an individual who's in an allowable area with a need help sign, something of that nature, calmly in their area, then that is permissible within the guidelines?
Yes, and that's what's protected under the First Amendment.
I got you.
Yeah.
You said over 35, is it 35 and over?
I think it says 35.
Where the speed limit is 35 and over.
It says exceeds 35.
A median.
'Cause-
35 miles.
Well, no, I was thinking that it took care of all the streets. And I thought our streets downtown were 35 on our speed limit. And so.
Downtown is
So-
part of the district too, it's a historic district.
Right, part of the ordinance covers commercial and historic districts are restricted. So most of those streets, even though there may be 30 miles an hour, are still going to be restricted areas.
Councilman Lewis?
Does this eliminate anyone from coming within 20 feet of a business? Is that,
That's correct, too.
is
That's
the
part of
parking
it.
lot considered part of the business?
It is.
So if I'm at Walmart or Sam's, no one can do it on the parking lot there?
No one can do it on a public parking lot, right? And also, see, Walmart they have control over their own parking lots, but if it's after sunup in the morning and it doesn't violate anything else, that would be up to Walmart.
So they can do it on that parking lot unless Walmart takes,
Private property, yeah.
unless take
Private
action.
property.
Just regularly public property. Any other questions from
Yeah, I
council?
do. Yeah. The, Councilman Dodd
said that we don't wanna lock people up, and, I don't wanna lock anybody up. I looked at this ordinance here, and I didn't see where it provided that a person could be locked up for that. So that's not a possible
So
penalty, is it?
It's a citation type offense. However, there are exceptions under the law if someone persists after we issue a citation. In other words, it's going to continue, then they could be arrested. But this is a $50 fine offense, max.
And
Per
how-
day.
And how would the citation come about? Because it's my understanding, you correct me on that, that if a person violates this, it's a misdemeanor.
That's correct.
And if a police officer does not see it, the person cannot be arrested by the police officer. Is that right?
That's correct. However, if a victim or citizen sees it or is approached by someone and it's either aggressive panhandling or it's panhandling in a restricted area, they can notify us about it, and we can document that and try to locate those persons, put them on notice that they can't do that. If it continues, then they can be cited.
Okay, but if a person, and I'm just gonna use the word unreasonably, fears for his or her safety, unreasonably, that person cannot just go to the officer and say that this guy aggressively panhandled me and I want you to do something about it.
No, sir. They're gonna have to, I mean, we can document what incident happened, but if it's an unreasonable fear, then it's not gonna be aggressive panhandling, right? And so it'd just be whether or not it's in a restricted area or time.
Okay, because we've had these cases about these Karens, that say that, this guy did this and that and it didn't happen at all. So I don't want to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Right. It does occur that we get calls to report things that aren't criminal. And so we have to review that and then make the disposition.
All right, and my last question that I wanted to ask you, we were talking about the places where you cannot panhandle. Where can you do it legally? Give me some examples around Jackson. Where could they do it legally?
Well, anywhere it's outside of a historical commercial district and that the speed limit is less than 35.
So what if we walk out of here right now after the meeting and somebody's out there and said, how about give me $1? Are they legal or illegal?
They would be, if, today, they'd
Yeah.
still be legal.
Well,
'cause
after this passes, after this passes.
After this passes, after 2 readings, after this passes, then they would be in a commercial historic district, and so they would be asked to move on.
Asked to move on, not cited.
If it occurred in our presence, they could be cited. But again, we're gonna do an educational piece, and we're gonna instruct them that they can't do it here, and then they're gonna need to move on. Right.
Like give a warning.
Yeah.
Right.
So right now, this would just basically outlaw it in the city of Jackson on the 20-foot road. I mean, it's downtown, sorry, not the city, but in.
Mr. Pilot's just pointed out that downtown is a commercial district and not a historic district, but which would still be covered under the ordinance.
But
Right, but the 20-foot
20-foot
from all the
rule's
business
gonna get
doors,
almost
right,
everything.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And see, I still want to get clear on this because in looking at this, I think about what Jesus said, that when you do this to the least of these, my brothers, you do it unto me. And these people are human beings, and but for the grace of God, there go I, having to ask somebody for some money or whatever. And I'm still not clear, where could they ask for money and not be penalized? Where could they do it? ARM is downtown, and they get a lot of services from ARM. If they see somebody walking down the street near ARM, can they ask for $1 there and not be penalized if this were to have passed?
I think the location of ARM would be within the commercial district.
All right, so again, where
Be
can they do it legally?
It would have to be outside the commercial
I
district.
mean, but tell me give me a place outside where they could do it.
Would RIFA be still considered commercial?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
But wouldn't somebody have to call and report it?
Yeah.
yes.
But the
So
fact-
if somebody was just walking, you're not gonna get randomly stopped and said, hey, look, get on,
No.
like, we're,
No.
you
They
can't do
have
this
to
here.
approach you,
Yeah,
and then
there's-
you've got to give
Correct.
them a citation, like a warning, and so
Okay.
Right.
some may not approach,
Yeah.
so.
If reported with a response from law enforcement, then they would be educated and then asked to
Right.
stop doing what they're doing in a sense.
Correct.
And then if an officer observed it, then that would leave the opportunity for a citation if
They
warranted.
could be.
That's the thing.
And again, our officers have complete discretion in that. just like a lot of other things, sometimes a citation or arrest is not the appropriate thing to do. Sometimes it's finding the proper agency to assist that person, so.
Mr. Chairman, I move the approval.
I have another statement, if
Got a
possible.
motion and a second? No, we got the motion and a
Yeah,
second
I
on
mean,
the table.
I think we need something in place, but we also have to realize the safety of the people that's going on with, if my wife or my kid walk around, somebody walking up, there's so much going on in the community. And then right now, some of these panhandlers about riches, so we got a whole lot of money. It's our job every day that they out here, you know, panhandling, and they'll go get into 2024 Lexus or whatever vehicle. They're doing it for their job. I mean, I know we want to have sympathy in and try to work with some of these people, but we need to have something in place, and I don't think, the question was asked, are we just gonna lock them up? And we're not gonna do that, but we gotta have something in place to protect our citizens.
And we don't need to forget, we do provide a lot of services in the city for people in need. You know, Arms there, Rifles there, Tennessee Homeless Solutions. You know, we have all these services that we provide for those that are needing assistance. I just think about the guy that stands at the corner of Ridgecrest and Highland with his sign, but then there's a sign at Taco Bell that says "Help Wanted."
Yeah.
And it's like, sir, you can go in there and get you a real job and get paid. Anyway.
But it will be beneficial to have a mechanism in place should we have these problematic repeat offenders. But otherwise, I appreciate the compassion that you and JPD plan to show to our homeless community.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the item? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8-1.
All right, item 5 is consideration of an ordinance to amend Title 15, Chapter 2, Section 204 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Jackson, compliance by trucks.
For a long time, Title 15, Chapter 1 has allowed for the city to have truck routes, which will determine where a truck that's passing through the city of Jackson, the only places that they can traverse upon. For example, can they go down, neighborhood roads? And the city has found, I think, from what we've heard, that our roads are being torn up by large trucks that are taking shortcuts through the city. So the traffic department has designed a truck route that's going to be coming to you by resolution in the upcoming months. When we looked back at Title 15, we realized that the definition of trucks allows for pickup trucks to be called trucks, which would mean that if some of you folks drive a pickup truck, then you may not be able to, drive it into your neighborhood. So this is only a housekeeping mechanism, and you see the chart that we are suggesting that be 15.1, Section A, and a pickup truck in that scenario is not considered a truck that will be subject to the new truck routes that you're going to see in the upcoming months. It just changes the definition of truck.
Any questions from council?
Motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Thank you, Teresa. Item 6, consideration of an ordinance to close a portion of an unnamed alley between 136 and 146 Campbell Street.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You have the materials pertinent to this alley closure and abandonment. This was presented to the Planning Commission, and they are recommending it to you. This is in a section that is now the third phase. Well, that's just later. But the third phase of Jackson Walk, and now that alley is owned by one owner on both sides, and it will be within a parking lot for one of those developments. So it's not affecting anyone but the person requesting it.
All right, any questions from council?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
All right, item 7 is consideration of an ordinance to amend the text of the official zoning ordinance of the City of Jackson, Tennessee. Article 5, specific district regulations, sections 1 through 17, sections 20 through 22, and section 24 relative to current design guidelines adopted by the City of Jackson.
Later on the agenda, I will give you a brief presentation on the the new amendments to our master plan and also the design guidelines. And this is just a housekeeping thing within our text of our zoning ordinance. It refers now to documents that we adopted after the 2003 tornado when we established the design review process. We had 2 documents that were the design guidelines that were enforced then. That's the ones we've used all these years since then. But now, since we're going through this update, we also updated the design guidelines. So now it refers to whatever the current design guidelines for the city of Jackson, so that anytime we amend these or change these, we won't have to come back and amend the text. It'll be whatever y'all have currently adopted.
All right, any questions from council?
In section 1H of this, it talks about the planning commission has to give its prior approval before the permit is issued on all new construction, any major additions or renovations. How is that defined? Who determines whether it's a major renovation? Somebody might say, well, this is not major, therefore I don't have to go to you. How is that defined?
It's defined as 25% of whatever the total square footage of the house is.
Okay, thank you.
And a lot of those minor renovations and things, we administrate that. We don't send them to the planning commission. The planning commission reviews new construction and major things, but any like small things like fences, things like that, we can administrate those.
All right, thank you.
All right, any additional questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, second, and a second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
All right, item 8 is consideration of an ordinance to amend the text of the official zoning ordinance of the city of Jackson, Tennessee, Article 6, regulations applying to specific, to several, or to all districts, Section 7, customary home occupation.
This text amendment involves home occupations, which we've had in the zoning ordinance ever since I've been here, since that's since 1822. So the guidelines for home occupations now do not allow for any customer traffic to come to the home. Again, the guidelines were designed in such a way to preserve the residential character of a neighborhood and not allow somebody to just circumvent our zoning by running a commercial business from their home. So there was restrictions in terms of signage and traffic and things like that. But over the years, home occupations have sort of evolved and changed, and now we have a lot of different types of home occupations that you didn't really originally have, like a baker that makes bread in their home and sells it to people. Those things weren't really thought about when this was established. It was more dealing with beauty shops and things like that. So given that these businesses now are in the home but do rely on customers, it gives the provision now that property owner could go to the Board of Zoning Appeals and ask to allow them to have some customer traffic at their home. They'll present it to the Board of Zoning Appeals. They'll explain what the level of that traffic is going to be. And it also sends out a notice to the neighbors around that property when they go to the Board of Zoning Appeals, so that if anybody has a problem about it or anybody has questions about it, they can go to the meeting and express their opinion. So we feel like this will give the flexibility that we need, but not open it wide to allow commercial operations within neighborhoods. And one of the things that we've been trying to do through the zoning ordinance amendments, and we brought a lot to you, is things that have been problematic over time. We're trying to rewrite them in such a way that we can allow them in a limited condition that won't be a problem, but not just say no. So.
Would this supersede like HOA restrictions and covenants?
No, covenants are still enforceable. What we've always explained to neighborhoods is we don't enforce your covenants, we enforce the zoning ordinance. But if you want to take someone to task on your covenants, that's within your ability to do, and that's a legal action. So we can approve them, and the Board of Zoning Appeals can approve them, and still the person or someone in the subdivision can then file suit in a legal process if they don't like. Because most covenants do say that everything but residential uses are prohibited. But we have home occupations all over the city, and most people don't even know they're there. It's just the abusers that we've had over time that become a problem. And usually if they're a problem to that level, it's a problem for our zoning ordinance, and we take care of those as violations.
Any Any other questions?
Yes, sir. I know you use common sense, but you're gonna ask for comments from the people around. I own a house right beside, and I'm opposed to it. Is that enough in itself to kill it?
Well, they would have to give a reason for being opposed to it. Now, for instance, if you had someone that was running a home occupation that was running it illegally before this provision was passed, in other words, they had customer traffic coming, and the person came and said, look, I've been living beside this business for 5 years, and they have people all hours of the day, multiple cars, parked on the street, then that might be enough for the Board of Zoning Appeals to say, well, that's probably beyond the limited nature of customers coming to the home, because it talks about limited. So, but someone just saying, I don't like it, that may not be enough for the Board of Zoning Appeals to make a decision not to allow it. But we can enforce, and again, what we find with violations, if they reach a level that people begin to complain, and they notice it and they say something's different happening here, then it's violated the provisions within our ordinance.
All right, any additional questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8 to 1 abstain.
Thank you.
Thank you. To second reading, item 1 is proposed budget amendment, Metro Drug Fund, amount of $33,841.44.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8 to 1 abstain.
Item 2 is proposed budget amendment, insurance recovery, JPD, the amount of $23,114.98.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8 to 1 abstain.
Item 3 is proposed budget amendment, insurance recovery, JPD, the amount of $33,247.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8 to 1 abstain.
Item 4 is proposed budget amendment, insurance recovery, Jackson Fire Department, the amount of $15,401.94.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8 to 1 abstain.
I move on to new business. Item 1 is consideration of a street acceptance request for Jackson Creek sections 1 and 2-A.
And again, these streets aren't brought to you until they've met all the requirements and been completed. So these streets that are on your agenda today have met all those requirements.
All right, any questions from council?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8 to 0.
Item 2 is consideration of a street acceptance request from Jackson Creek sections 2B and 3.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8 to 0.
Item 3 is consideration of a street acceptance request for Jackson Creek section 4.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8 to 0.
Item 4 is consideration of a resolution to adopt the updated One Jackson Civic Master Plan and City of Jackson Design Guidelines.
All right, so now I can, if someone back in the back will give me my, all right. Technology is great when it works. This is a process that we've been going on for several months now. The original Civic Master Plan was adopted by the city in 2015. And the desire at that time was to, in 5-year increments, we would go back and evaluate what was in the plan and see if things need to be changed or altered or amended. And 5 years was marked by 2020, which is a pandemic year, and so things got pushed back a little bit. And so now we're coming with the adoption of, or presenting the adoption of amendments to the Civic Master Plan that govern some of our sub-areas that are in the Civic Master Plan. As I explained in pre-agenda, we're not amending the entire document. We're just amending sections within the sub-areas, and we're also adding a sub-area to address the west part of Jackson and Madison County with the development of the Blue Oval. That's become more, I guess we're getting more attention on people looking at development for that area since it's closer to the site on the west side of the county. So you have on the screen the first of the sub-areas. Originally, downtown and airways were separate sub-areas, but because of the connected nature of airways being a gateway into downtown, and given the importance of airways to downtown, we felt like that was needed to be combined because they sort of work together. Also, we see the airways improvement projects that we've gotten Department of Transportation money to see happen. We feel like they're an extension of downtown. So that's why we felt it was better to combine these. And the sub-areas are just showing you, the colors represent land uses that are appropriate in that area. It also shows you on the screen housing types that would be considered appropriate. And some of the things that they're establishing with this amendment is sort of what we refer to as a transect model, where you have, to the east, on the eastern edge of this map, you have the Lafayette Gateway section, and then you have the Hollywood Bungalows district in the middle, and then you have what they call the Maker district on the edge, on the west end, which is more industrial. And so each of those areas are a little bit different in what land uses are there. And so the guidelines address the different uses, residential versus commercial versus industrial, differently. This is just some other examples of commercial types that you would find in the Royal Street area versus the downtown core versus Lafayette Gateway. So we're just moving east, representing all of downtown. Again, shots of Hollywood and Airways. And people have asked me when I presented this, I've presented to a number of groups, they look at this and they go, this really looks great. Is this achievable? And my answer to that is yes. If you care about seeing this happen, if you want to see this happen, then you got to have a vision to start with, to basically a goal to try to achieve. And so I remember when Jackson Walk started. If anybody remembers what Wells Alley and the old street department property and all that area, and Union and Farrar and Morgan, you remember what it looked like. And people told us we were crazy when we started that process. They said, you'll never get anybody to buy anything over here. You'll never redevelop that and make it work. And it's been tremendously successful. It's been one of the I guess the greatest joy I've had as a planner, because I don't get many opportunities to start from square zero and start development and establish the way it's going to be and hold a standard. And so it's been my real world example of SimCity. So I've enjoyed that. But again, everyone thought that this was not doable. It wasn't going to happen. So when you look at Hollywood and Airways, you say today, you go, there's no way it's going to look like this. But I believe anytime you establish a vision and then you put the resources to see it accomplished, then it can be accomplished. And so you aim high. And I think that's what we want for our city. We want for this corridor is to aim high, because while we refer to the Civic Master Plan as the One Jackson Plan, is because that was one of our goals in all this, is that Jackson is a sum of its parts. No area of Jackson is a write-off. No area of Jackson is something you don't invest in, because basically the areas of Jackson that need the most work, they have to be brought up, because it'll drag the whole down if you don't. So it's important that all parts do well. And so people ask me, why are you spending so much time in the downtown area in East Jackson? Aren't those areas that really we shouldn't be investing in areas that are doing well? Well, no, you use your biggest tools for the areas that need the most work. And that's why when we started the redevelopment process, we looked at the areas that needed the most attention, and that's where we invested our resources. That's where we invested our actions and the tools that we use. And so we've seen the benefits of making that happen, and we're starting to see that ripple out into other areas. And so, can this be done? Yes. Can it be done overnight? No. But it can be done. And this is just the artist rendering of looking at downtown from west looking east, and you can see, the downtown hotel prominent in the center. And this is something that inspires people. This is something that makes people want to be a part of it. So,
do we have any commitments to like the business owners that are already down there that they would be willing to invest back into their structures and stuff like that? And commitments of people coming and some source of low income housing?
Yes, we have, property owners that have already acquired properties, like R.E. Butts and the old Jackson Sun property and the downtown hotel, and there's other smaller properties. Jackson Walk's extending their third phase into Johnson Street and moving down. So we're starting to see the critical mass that you need to make this happen. We're seeing individual property owners buy properties on Hatton, which we know what Hatton looks like today, but Morgan looked just like it before we started the process. So again, it takes all. I tell people when they come to me and ask me about what should they do in redevelopment, I say stay close to what we're doing, and we want as many people to the dance as we can get, because it's not one person that makes it happen. It's not 10. It's a lot of investors, and it can be small to large. And I know downtown development has been doing their part from what would be considered a smaller endeavor, but just as important in helping facades to be improved. And that helps individual property owners and individual businesses to look better, and for the downtown to look good as a whole. And again, without that, again, downtown is the sum of its parts. So if you concentrate all in one area, in the central area, and you allow the fringes to just become transitional, then it has an effect on all. This is another piece of the updates, is the Jackson Plaza. And I know we've heard a lot about Jackson Plaza, and we know what it looks like today. And it's another one of those things where people go, I'm seeing the pictures and I love what it's showing, but is any of that doable? That looks like a lot of development, and looks like a lot of millions of dollars that would have to be spent. Well, understand, a project like this will not be funded on the backs of the taxpayers of this community. This is a regional facility. And so while the taxpayers do have involvement in it, we're not looking to see all this happen at a local level, because if we're depending on our local population to make this work, it's never going to happen. This depends on the regional nature of Jackson, the hub city, because when we put, when an arena becomes a part of this area, when a convention center becomes a part of this area, those are dependent on people of all of West Tennessee participating, being a part of. So can this happen? Sure, it will. And we've even shown how the old Hickory Mall area could be adapted and readapted to become part of this new push toward the redevelopment of that corridor. And so, again, I think it is very much doable. It will happen. Jackson Walk took us about 10 years, and Jackson Plaza area will take us some time to get all this. But what you do is you start adding pieces, and you keep a standard. You keep this vision in front of you, and you make sure that every project is evaluated based on this vision. If it runs counter to the vision, then we try to not permit that. And so, again, it'd be great to have a great lawn out there and with a lot of activity. And so these things, again, are inspiring, and they're also doable. Oman Arena, another area. Okay, so Oman Arena, we've been looking at it for years, but now we're starting to see some movement in this area with the reconstruction of JCM, with the improvements that the school system's doing to the Oman Arena area, and the efforts that we're going to make in the residential areas that are south of here, and the housing authority, the efforts they're making on redeveloping Allington Heights. And you'll see on your agenda, we bid it out, the improvements to Allen Street, which run down the middle of this area. All these things work together, and we leverage everybody to make these things happen. So we're starting to see the pieces of this area come together. And there's an overview aerial look. All right, so the new west area is, as I said, is an area that's composed of some city, some county, and it involves having guidelines that govern how these properties develop as we start getting the development pressures to see this area improve. A lot of this area is an area that has mostly been devoted to agricultural uses, and through our public meetings out in that area, we discovered that a lot of people, one of the most important things to them is the rural character of the area. So the guidelines that affect west sub-area, they identify and acknowledge the importance of maintaining that rural character, but also allowing development to happen, and you balance those two. But in the county parts, you've got some infrastructure that would have to be improved, and you know, you're not going to put a 400-lot subdivision on a 2-lane county road that has tractors that ride down there to fields and trying to get everybody by that. So we recognize all that, and the idea of planning is that you get in front of things. You don't react to things once they happen. So we're getting in front of the development that's going to come so that we can guide it and make sure that it's a positive thing, make sure we don't lose the character of that area in the process, and that way we will see better developments and a better balance. And this is just a picture of sort of the land use patterns that we see in the agricultural preservation areas that we see to maintaining. So I'm gonna stop there and just tell you that the design guidelines that are also a part of this, they basically are your mechanism for making sure this happens. You know, the only way these nice, pretty pictures happen is if you've got the ability to guide development in the ways so that they turn out to look like this. And so the guidelines, they're sort of a guide. And the guidelines that we had after the tornado were good, but they weren't as specific as some of these are. These guidelines are not, you know, a lot of people get afraid when you start looking at regulation, but guidelines are not so much regulatory as they are giving direction. And so a lot of the things that you'll see in the guidelines are things that we do anyway. They're just encouraging people to do, when they develop their property, to do it in such a way that's attractive, where you don't have dumpsters sitting on the front of the street. You don't have loading docks that are sitting at the beginning, you know, where everybody sees it. You know, it's just taking some things that you normally would want to see anyway and providing those guidelines so that we can not basically approve things based on our own subjectivity, but we do it based on guidelines that apply to all properties so that your standard is the same.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Mr. Pilot, thank you for all the work, and I'm glad you got some joy.
I did.
I had 2 questions. One, years ago when the one master plan was developed, there were citizens that helped with that. Were there any citizen input along with this?
Yes, we had public meetings across all the city in various geographic areas, and we not only, but this picture you see up here, we actually did a visual survey of the areas to say, okay, if you were given these 4 examples, which one do you like better than the others? So we were trying to capture, when someone says good development in their mind, what do they visualize? And so we asked a lot of questions. We surveyed a lot of people because, again, this plan is only as good as the vision of our community, because if our vision is not a community vision, then we won't see it accomplished.
I think that's good. I wanted the public to know that. And then the second thing was, you mentioned Thursday night. Can we have this in a file or a document or something, the council?
Yes.
I'd like to have it.
Yes, once it's adopted, we will put it in a form that, it's readily available on our website, but we'll put it in a place, and we'll also provide y'all with, if you want hard copies, we can provide that too. It's just whatever form you want it in. You know, these are big documents, so they're not something usually we could email. That's why they're on our website. But at any time, if you want, you just let me know what format you want it in, and we can provide that.
Maybe the Cliff Notes.
Yeah. Yeah, the synopsis.
Thank you
See, the
so
mayor
much.
didn't think I could do synopsis, but I can keep it short
Mr.
for
Stan.
me.
Thank you.
Stan. Stan, the improvements look real great. I know a lot of investors, they choose what location that they want to go and develop in. But the South Roy area and the East Chester corridor area, I think we need to look and see what opportunities we have in them locations also. And even out south, I think it's a lot of improvement. But I know the South Roy and East Chester area corridor, we have did some improvement. But I don't know what we can do to recruit investors to that location. But we need to look at that area again and kind of see what we do after the tornado. I think we did some improvements in some areas, but what we can do to recruit, come up with a plan to make sure.
Yeah, the big, when we first started the redevelopment process, areas like East Jackson, what was important to them at that time was economic development. They wanted jobs. They wanted to see businesses occur. Now when you talk to people, they want to see housing, affordable housing. And I know we hear that word a lot, and it's almost like a unicorn. We know what a unicorn looks like, but we've never seen one. And so affordable housing, attainable housing is difficult because the construction cost of a home today a lot of times exceeds the ability for somebody to pay just the construction costs. We haven't even figured in anything else. So our thrust right now is more toward the residential side, just to see that affordable housing, but we'll never be in a point where we won't turn away and try to help commercial development too. It's just we try to incentivize and try to use our resources where we've got critical mass already, so that we can build upon that. So, because the shotgun approach of old, where we just put a few little things out here, they don't pull an area up. They just kind of the area brings them down over time. So we just have to look at opportunities and look.
I think the housing issue is a major issue that we have start working on that area, and I want people to understand, because one of the biggest complaints that we do have, why are y'all building houses for $200,000 or $250,000 houses? But we're gonna have to start to get the market up for people that want to come in that area. And a lot of people,
we don't build houses.
Yes,
that's true. You're right. But I tell people, once we build up here on Cartmel Street, they're trying to do some improvement there. But then again, now we got vandalism. So things like that take place, people don't want to come. But I just want to.
And we're looking at ways, like the CRA has been providing buyer incentives for a while, helping people with down payment assistance. We had the NSP program, which is still going on. It used to be a THDA process, but we took it over, and that was a way to bring the cost of homes down so that people could get into homes. We're going to be looking at other options of incentivizing the builders on the builder side of things to try to get this cost of house down so that someone can afford it. And it's a fact of the economics. It's just the cost of things are pushing it beyond people's ability to afford. So the only way you can help in that area is to try to subsidize it in such a way that you can bring the cost of that housing down for them. And that you can do that in a lot of ways. One of the ways that we're looking at is single family attached, because you get the economy. It's a 2-unit. You get the economies of the plumbing and electricity all being run at the same time for both, and there's some abilities to have more affordability there. But we're constantly looking for models, and I know the Housing Commission is looking at those things, and I know Lauren has been working on things to try to find a solution for this pressing problem. It's not going to go away, and it's going to get, if we don't turn it around some way, it's just going to get worse. So that's our goal, is to try to find those mechanisms. And we've invited groups to come to Jackson and talk to us about the things that they are doing and the successes they have, because, you know, borrowing from successes is a great thing. You don't have to trailblaze everything. You can always borrow from successful programs.
All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8-1 abstain.
Thank you.
Item 5, consideration of a grant. You don't want to talk about this, Stan? You're not going to talk about it?
If you want me to.
Consideration of a grant for fiscal year 2023 Safe Streets and Roads for All Grant Program.
Yeah, I just figured you'd heard me enough.
Well, I mean, yes, I have.
I'll try to make it brief. We were awarded a Safe Streets for All grant, and that's very rare for a city of Jackson size to get one of those grants, and so we're really excited about it. And this is the first stage. This is the planning side of the Safe Streets and Roads for All. You have to do the plan first before you can go back to them and ask for construction money. So this is the first part of that. It's a $300,000 grant. $240,000 of it is federal funds and $60,000 is local match. And at the end of this, we will identify streets that are eligible for going through this Safe Streets for All process, and then we will go after construction money. This document will become the basis for our application. When we go to the application stage for construction money, we will have a full-fledged document that has addressed all the questions and answers that you must have in a grant application, because these are highly competitive, and so your application has to be top-notch, and we feel like this is going to enable us to do that.
Is there a 20% match on all of it?
It does.
You know, just a question, once we get to construction grants, is that what you're talking
Yes,
about?
yes.
Yeah, most federal grants are that way. Any other questions from council?
On page 13 of the document, there's written, talking about disadvantaged communities, and it says that these residents make up over half of the city's population, indicating the need for their inclusion in any planning-related activities. So how will they be included in the planning-related
Yeah,
activities?
it's like we've done in the past. We go to geographically into these areas where there are disadvantaged populations, and we give information sessions to them, and we involve their input into improvements that are needed to make safe streets.
Okay, when you say you go to them, meaning you have a meeting in that area
Yes.
and invite them to come?
Yes, we do.
All right. Any additional questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
All right, thanks, Stan.
All right.
Item 6, consideration to adopt the 2024 through 2034 Jackson Recreation and Parks Master Plan. We have Christie and Tony. Answer your questions there.
Hello, council and mayor. Good morning.
Good morning. Morning.
Let me say, today is a great day to be a part of the city of Jackson. We're doing a lot of vision casting today. So we're here to present the new Recreation and Parks Master Plan. This is a 10-year plan. We kind of piggybacked off of the Jackson 1 plan back in 2018. That plan expired in April of 2023, so we began this process with A2H architect and engineering firm. This document is substantially larger than the original Jackson 1 plan because it is a complete comprehensive document. So I want to, again, give nods to Councilman Donnell. He asked for a Cliff Notes version, and that's what I'm going to present to y'all today. So as you see here, this is the tennis complex. Let me see if I can, yeah, that's a little better. All right, so this is the proposed vision for the tennis complex. We are going to rename that to Match Point Park. The additions that you see here is an indoor tennis facility located next to the north side tennis courts, the skate park, which is already being funded by the LPRF grant, additional parking, This is a community center, which is desperately needed on the north side of town. They did include additional soccer fields here. I'm not really sure that we will ever really do that because it cuts right into the disc golf course that we've just installed there.
And the
But-
neighbors don't want that.
and, yeah, the neighbors in that area do not want sport fields out there. But this is just a vision of what that area could be.
Right.
And the reason they don't is because it's pristine and they use it to walk. And we do have a disc golf course there that is really, disc golf is a more serene sport. And the neighbors, they just don't want any sports. And plus, a lot of trees would have to be removed, and it would be a cost that we think would just not happen. So,
Up next, this is a playground at the AMP. It's called Harmony Haven. So when you're looking at this, the playground area that you see back here is actually the downside of the hill where the AMP is. Along here is seating that allows view, line of sight view down that hill as well as line of sight to the stage. This playground is all inclusive. It has multiple accessible play amenities, and it has poured-in-place surfacing, which is also ADA compliant. The yellow chutes that you see are actually slides that are in the hill. It's just a really cool concept. We actually did already apply for a grant for this. We weren't awarded that grant, but if it comes back up, we'll apply again for it.
and that's been a concern for many people that come to the AMP with their kids during the concerts because the kids don't have anything to do and they just roll down
They roll down the hill.
So this would complement taking care of the kids while, and plus it provides a playground for that area.
This is Kate Campbell Park, so proposed improvements there. Currently, we have 2 soccer fields that are full-size fields. This would redesign those to allow us to have 2 full-size and then 3 7-on-7 fields, which could be used for 7-on-7 football is an up-and-coming growing sport, as well as 7-on-7 soccer, 11-on-11 soccer. This also has 2 play areas where right now we only have 1 playground. This would put in 2 playground areas, and it would add an additional basketball court over here. Those courts are very popular. If you drive through there in the evening, they park anywhere they can get to get over there and play basketball. So that would be the proposed vision for Kate Campbell. All right, this is Liberty Garden Park. And what this area identifies is the children's stage area. It's more a children's garden is what they're kind of calling this area. So it's more of an imaginative nature play area. So this does include the children's stage that they're currently fundraising for, as well as some other additions like a fairy garden and some other whimsical kind of ideas that they have for that.
Isn't there a veterans
Right.
part of this?
Yes.
Yeah.
To the left, right there, that gazebo is.
And that group is a very good support group. We work closely with them and kind
I
of.
was, in looking at this previously, it was like, I was trying to figure out where is it?
So it's right there, you go to the left where the garden is,
Yeah.
see that?
Yeah, this
Right there.
area.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're putting the playground in the back of the park?
It's already there, it's an imaginative area. now.
Yeah, so the park is not designed to be like a traditional playground area.
Not an active part.
So it's very much nature kind of themed, again, whimsical.
Sensory,
Yeah.
sensory things for children.
And it is already, the children's area is already established in the back area of the park. All right, this is Melissa's. And so what you see here indicated is these tennis courts are already there at Melissa's. What this plan includes is converting those to post-tension concrete, which would save us on having to resurface them every 2 to 3 years. That would increase the lifespan to about 10 to 12 years for resurfacing. an addition over here you see is a basketball court. Something that we are very low on basketball courts in our city. So any place where we can add one, we would like to try to do that. And then back here, the P word, pickleball. This would be 6 pickleball courts that will come in behind the community center. Our community out there is very active in pickleball, and so they're excited to have those coming to their area. This is the play area that we just redone, so the only addition that you see here is an accessible trail from that parking area to the playground. All right, the most exciting piece for
But
me.
Lisa, also, we're looking at a walkway from the community center to the playground park area.
Yes.
Doesn't exist now, but we're gonna have that done.
That's a part of the ADA accessibility plans that we're doing.
Right.
All right, so this is the south side of Muse Park. This is a complete redesign. So just to kind of orient you to where you're at on here, this is the current pull-in entrance area on the north side. As you pull in, we would have a large parking space. This area would be 4 basketball courts. You would come around to additional parking. We would have 4 tennis courts as well as 3 pickleball courts. You have a play area here, 3 soccer and or 7v7 football fields, concession and restroom area. And then this area here is a covered court area. Those would be multi-use courts, so they would be striped for pickleball, but they would also be striped for basketball.
Is the school to the left of that?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, the school would be in this area over here.
And if you ever go to Tom Lee Park in Memphis now, they have that type of
Yes.
fixture, the covered court. They have removable basketball goals, and what they do, they move them out, and you can have, like, people can have stage events or could have banquets, but it'd be in an outdoor format. So if you go to Memphis now, visit Tom Lee Park. You'll be amazed at what they've done down there.
All right, and now the south side.
Yeah.
So this, if you have ever been to Shelby Farms, this is very much inspired by Shelby Farms area. So this is coming, traveling east on Parkway. This is the current pull-in. So parking there, a small skate park, and a picnic area. This is the current pond area where we have the fishing rodeo and all of those things. On this side, you would have a disc golf course. We currently do have a disc golf course at Muse. It is actually one of the oldest in the state and one of the oldest in the sport. So we want to keep that as a part of the history of the park. You also have a small and large dog park area. And then, of course, all the parking. This area that you see is a plaza area for seating, and then a stage performance area. This is an extremely larger water area. It would have the ability for paddle boarding, kayaking, those kind of things. This play area that you see here is divided into 3 age groups. So we currently don't have a play area that would look like this in Jackson. It would be 2 to 5, 5 to 12, and then 13 and up. And then over here would be our nature center. This nature center was kind of inspired by a park that we visited in Clarksville, Tennessee. It has administrative offices in it as well, so the recreation administrative staff that's currently at Canalco would actually relocate and be housed here. But it would offer a field trip location, and it's got a patio view. It would be it's 20,000 square feet, so it would be a really neat addition. And one thing that I skipped over was the restaurant. So this restaurant here would provide an overlook to the water. Again, very Shelby Farms kind of feel. There's a walkway that goes all the way around that would be accessible for walkers or bicycles. So this is the vision for Muse, and I believe someone asked Thursday, but the approximate cost to do this would be about $65 million. All right, this is North Park.
We'll take sponsors,
Yes, we,
corporate sponsors.
so at North Park, we would convert the ball fields that are in the back. There's one large ball field back there. We would convert that to additional soccer. We would also add an entrance on Cooper Anderson. And then what you see here, these are the tennis courts that we are going to be converting to pickleball courts through capital or grant, however we can do that. What we have proposed is adding an overhead structure. Apparently, when pickleball courts get wet, it makes it very difficult for them to play on, and so a hot amenity for those is adding some coverage so that it can still be played when it's raining. You also see the splash pad, which is also already proposed in future capital. This is Wallace Road area. This is a project that we have already funded through the grant from TDEC. We will start designing it and moving forward with that beginning this next fiscal year. So what you see here is an access point on Cambrian Way. This is important mainly for our groundskeeping crew. Right now, they're just really having to pull in here on grass. So this would allow them an entry point. It will have a walking trail that goes up to where the new playground area is, the basketball court. This will be ADA accessible, as well as the parking lot. And then last, this is also a project that is already being funded by the TDEC grant. This is the new park that will be added to Windy City Road. So you have, it's south of the fire station, so you see the fire station there. We would have a walking trail, ADA accessible parking, pavilion and restroom, and a playground area as well for that park. The other document that I'm not going to show you all is the short, mid, and long-term goals for each park that is in the master plan. Tony mentioned sponsorships. You know, ever since I was hired on, one of the things that have been started to work on, but we haven't seen it through, is the park partners. What this document allows us to do, it gives us those opportunities for corporations that want to invest into our park system. It gives us kind of line items that they can commit to. The other thing is, you know, we're doing a lot of commercial and residential vision casting. We have to also do quality of life vision casting with this. We have to include our parks. Right. So this is a 10-year plan, and we will update it every 3 years. We'll go in and check off what we've done. We'll build our capital plans now moving forward will be built around this. So that's the proposal.
And one of the things that we definitely wanted to do was we wanted to provide these recreational amenities for every community. As you can see that it's a broad swath, so they actually did the whole complex, and we do have included in it the sportsplex and the stadium area. So those things they're not neglected, but they are a part of the master plan also.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you all. We say that every month, but it's unbelievable, and we really appreciate it. One thing I wanted to bring out was Mayor Conger talked a couple of weeks ago on Wednesday, and there was a lady that did have a question about the cameras, and you addressed that Thursday night about each park. If you'll just let people know that the entrance and the exit that you
Yes,
spoke of.
yes. So JPD has worked with us to install the flock cameras. They are up, I believe, at every entrance and exit now, and they are operational. And so they're the flock cameras. They scan the license plates of each vehicle that are entering and exiting our parks. And that can be used for criminal activity, but also if there's a silver alert that's issued, an elderly person or a medically fragile person is missing or lost, it scans, you know, and it can alert the JPD that that person is in our park area.
Thank you.
Actually, we've already, Chief's gone, but there was some activities at North that camera caught, and they came and arrested some guys that had guns in their cars and drugs. So it works.
Councilman Lawrence?
Do you have a realistic cost of what this will cost local government grants and the private, of the 65 million, you don't have an estimate?
No, well, that's just strictly for the Muse Park redesign. And what this document allows us to do is to go after those grant funds that the state provides. They require us to have a master plan, and they require that any project we're applying for is in that master plan. And we already have some conversations going with some corporations that are interested in developing the Muse Park area with us. So I can't give you a dollar amount for what our commitment would be on that.
But we will need a commitment.
Yeah, obviously gonna have to have some money, yeah.
Larry said he got it, just let him know.
Say that again.
Mayor not gonna
Muse
split
Park,
it.
the largest investment of.
Yes, it would be the largest investment.
And it's a total remake. It's something that's needed.
My district appreciates that.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Chair, I'd like to remind everyone, this is kind of like what Stan shared with us. It is a vision, a direction for us to go in. I mean, certainly not set in stone, but as we recruit partners, grant funding, et cetera, this is a good mechanism because it gives people something to look at, something to anticipate.
That's right.
And makes it easier for us to pursue and win those grant dollars that are readily available. So thank you so much for your hard work. Y'all both did great. Christie looks beautiful, and I move we approve.
Second. Yeah, motion and second. Any further discussion?
I have two questions.
Okay.
Forest Hills Park, you're gonna install a EWF playground surfacing. What is that?
It's the wood chip surfacing.
What?
The wood chip surfacing that you see now at the playgrounds.
I know what it is, okay.
And then the ADA pathway will also be installed there at
All
Forest
right.
Hills.
And then on the implementation plan for the Shirlene Mercer Park, I looked at your short, mid, and long, and I've been talking about this for long. It's about restrooms down
We
there.
got it, they're coming.
And I don't see it in here anywhere.
They're
Can you
part
address
of
that? Because people need to use the bathroom down at Shirlene Mercer Park.
That's part
Yeah,
of the grant.
it's part of the grant that we've already been awarded, so that process will start July 1. We'll start the design phase, and hopefully break ground on that.
Restroom by next year.
That's my
Yeah.
question. Restaurant will be there when?
Next year.
Probably by next year.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
All right, then, council, we got a first, we got a second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, item 7, consideration of a contract renewal with USIC for locating services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Council, please.
Yes, I have some discussion.
All right.
That went so fast. Hold on. This is, which one is this?
Item 7, USIC locating services.
Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'd like to say, council, please vote.
Here,
please
smile.
vote.
We're voting.
Everybody voted?
No.
Everybody vote. Hold on, let her count the vote.
Sit
before you go
still.
back.
8-1 abstain.
All right.
You abstain.
I'm not abstaining. I thought.
doing?
Motion
Oh, no.
passed 9-0.
All right.
passed. We good.
Item 8, consideration of a contract with Martin Paving Company for Jackson Allen Avenue sidewalks.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. I have discussion about this one.
Okay.
Help me understand this, Mr. Zach. The contract is issued for $646,000. And on the documentation that we have, it was awarded to Martin, it's recommended it to be awarded to Martin Paving for $646,000. But the lowest bid was MSV Construction for $270,000, which is about $70,000 less than the person you recommended that we give the bid to. And on the letter from the TLM it's recommended that Martin, who gave the higher bid, be awarded this contract because MSB, which is the lowest bidder, was non-responsive due to the failure of them to provide a required bid bond and failure to fill out the bid information. So I've looked at the history of the city, and in fact, we have a consideration coming up in a few minutes with MSB, where the city has done business with MSB in the past and all that. And so they're a reputable company. But this is a $70,000 difference. So could this be cured some kind of way so that the lowest bidder, who's a reputable bidder, could get the contract and we can save the citizens $70,000? You know, because $70,000 to me is a lot of money. And we are the stewards of the taxpayers' monies. And can it be cured to where we can look at this again?
There's, of course, always informalities that we will sometimes let pass, like a small date was forgotten on a document. I believe on this one right here, let's see, Martin Paving was select $346, $220, and 25 cents. I think on this one, I believe MSB, they of course were the lowest bidder, but they were non-responsive because there's always pertinent documents we ask for in bids that kind of just make us sure that we're selecting someone that, you know, has things in the best regard for the city. Bid bond, solicitation documents. If there's concerns on allowing them not to turn in something, I can discuss that with Stan.
Well, the process that Zach follows on the purchasing side of things is the process specific for everyone that goes through the process. And MSB has been through that process before. And we hold everybody to the same standard. And in this case, they failed to submit some documents that were required for the bid. So, you know, we have to maintain that standard because then there's no bid process if you don't say you got to turn in this to submit a bid, and you say, oh, well, we're going to let you just do whatever, and if you're missing things, we'll submit that at the last minute. We can't do that. We have to have a standard that stays consistent across all bidders, and in this case, they just failed. It wasn't like it was something, you know, insignificant. It was something that they knew that needed to be there, and they just failed to do it. So it's not that they don't have other work with us. You'll see that they are getting other work, and again, there is some advantage, especially on a project like Allen, because of some of the things that are associated with it, that we spread the work so that we don't have one contractor that is overloaded, and then it delays the project. And this one is one that needed to move fairly quickly, and we had confidence in Martin Paving, and since they submitted everything just like they were supposed to, we felt it was a good bid.
Right, but in good conscience, as I said a minute ago, we're talking about $70,000, and to me, it's like if Zach does something to me, and I retaliate, but I retaliate by hitting you. So in this same kind of situation, they didn't submit the bid bond, and we know they're reputable because we're doing work with them now. So it's not like they're just a little company or whatever. We know they're reputable. Some happened and they didn't submit it, and they probably could have.
Well, what do you say to the other bidders?
But let me finish though.
Okay.
And then by them not doing that, and they could have done it, the taxpayers lose $70,000 that could be used for a host of things in the city.
But what do you say? What do you say to the other bidders,
let me finish
though?
now. It would seem to me that there should be some type of curative process to where the taxpayers don't lose that money. You know, it might not, $70,000 might not be a lot to most people, but it's a whole lot to me. And I'm looking at it as though it was my money that I was actually using myself. So
Well, I've been through these processes quite a bit over the years, and what do you say to your other bidders that submitted everything, and you say, we're going to give it to MSB and they didn't have everything there, but we're going to give it to them anyway? It's a standard that has to be maintained in the bid process, or everyone is not equal when they go into the bid process. So
Okay, no, but what I would do to answer that question, what I would do is when, before the bids open, and I see that a company that's reputable, that we've done business with, failed to submit that, I would call them and say, you failed to submit that, you need to submit it. That's what I would do. I don't think that's hard. And I would do it before the bids open, to give them, and I would give that opportunity to all businesses. If they didn't do what they were supposed to do, and they can cure it before the bids are open, I would allow them to cure it.
If I could just state, I mean, I understand we could be saving $70,000, but I don't believe we should lower our standards because someone didn't do the proper paperwork.
You're not
I
low-
mean,
you're not
it's
lowering
almost
the
like, it's almost like Lane College.
Yeah, so, I was
But you
gonna
are.
address that.
Hold on.
So it is a sealed bid process. We're not looking into their documents as they submit it. We do kind of follow up with them when someone submits something. It's like, did you make sure you get everything put in your bid packet? Do you have the bid signed form? Do you have all insurance requirements, any additional solicitation documents that we put in there? We give them a chance to kind of review it. We can't look at it right then because it's a sealed bid process, and we can't allow someone to do something once the sealed bid process, the opening is started. I can't say, oh, so-and-so didn't turn this in. We have to let them go sign it, come back and return it when the other person from the beginning followed the standard we were putting out there. So we can't review their documents as they're turned in when it's a sealed bid process.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to pop quiz Lewis, but could Ms. Luna address that legal thing right there?
Or Lewis.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to pop quiz him too bad.
Okay, hop up here soon.
I tend to agree with Stan. If there is a bid that does not meet the bid criteria, you reject it. If you think that it would be better to rebid and let people have a second chance, you create animosity by the people who would have won if you weren't rebidding. And you also risk that everybody goes up now to what we accepted or higher. We have no guarantee. It takes I'm not sure how much additional time, but there's a period of time. And so it's problematic to have the second guessing after the bids are open. The opening of the bids is a watershed, and there are those who qualify and those that don't. And if the deficiency is such that it's a non-qualifying bid, you can't then say, well, drop a few more things in your bid packet and we'll consider them. The other bidder then has a right to complain.
I did everything right.
Everyone knew the bid process, correct?
Correct,
So,
yes.
I mean, if you don't follow it, then you don't get the bid.
See, what you're
Councilman
not looking
Lawrence-
at, the
Coun-
taxpayers are the
Councilman-
ones losing out.
Councilman Lawrence is recognized.
We want to respect the bid process, and I want to commend you on how hard you work to get bidders, because having three is unusual here. But this is $75,000 difference, which is 20%. And I don't know where the line is there, that you've got to say, oh, that's got so much that we need to rebid it, and risk all the things that the attorneys pointed out. Because there's a point there where the taxpayer's money takes precedence. And
We've also made these figures public, and I mean, they can do a lot more things now too.
And also, you mentioned, and again, I'm not trying to wade into Zach stuff, but I've just, over time, if you start changing the standard or having a moving target, then you will have people that will not bid for you anymore. They will just choose not to bid on projects that you have because there's no assurance that everybody's going to be equal and it's going to be a level playing field.
Or
So-
what if MSB goes up to 346 because they saw someone else was going to, and then Martin goes up, and then Ford goes up. I mean, we're also putting ourselves in jeopardy to be paying more than we would be right now.
And it is lowest and best.
And one of the thoughts I had was the fact that this is a company that does this all the time, and they do lots of biddings. So why did they not check their work to make sure that they got all those things in? These are
Yeah,
grown-ups we're
that's
talking to.
correct.
There could be a million different reasons.
Mr. Chairman?
Errors happen.
Yes, Councilman Wallace.
Okay. A lot of times, council members are asked to be involved in this process, it might be a good thing just because it is so strategic. There's so many forms they have to fill out. And the valid point that Zach made, these are sealed. They have to be here X amount of time. They used to be 12 o'clock on a Wednesday, so they're sealed. So if they looked at that again, I believe they would be violating the confidence of the other bidders. And again, they would not want to bid with the city of Jackson if they know how that's how we would do business.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Councilman McKelvey.
it's unfortunate that the low bid wasn't complete in its packet, but I do appreciate all of you involved for maintaining the integrity of the process, and I would like to move the approval of the item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
But we appreciate Mr. Richards' concern.
But everything came in.
Motion passed 7-1, 1 no and 1 abstain.
Item 9 is consideration of a contract with Mid-South Business Construction LLC for the Griffin Street sidewalk improvements.
So moved.
Motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 10 is consideration of a contract with Delta Tree Service LLC for tree cutting services.
So moved.
Motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 11 is consideration of a contract with Cornerstone IT Consulting for JTA's IT services.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 12, consideration of a state contract 1 and 2 renewal with TDOT.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 13 is consideration of a contract with A to Z Office Resources for Omnia
moved.
office supplies and furniture.
So moved.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
How much is the contract?
It's not one, it's different rates per the items for our office supplies. Like there's core items the city orders and office supplies and furniture, and those rates, I can get a copy of that sent to you. It's
Okay,
not
I
in
think
the
I
packet.
might have that then. Those are just the rates that were on the last sheet of something I saw. These are the rates here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, I'm fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. Item 14, consideration of committee and board appointments. Jackson Municipal Regional Planning Commission, reappointment of Mandy White.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Jackson Community Redevelopment Agency Board, reappointment of Vicky Lake.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
A question. I would love to make this motion, but I is it our responsibility to answer Ms. Sheila's question, or is it the redevelopment agency?
CRA Board's responsibility.
Okay. Thank you, sir, and I'd like to move.
There's a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Public Art Commission, the appointment of Luis Giberson, Lyndon No, Rose Newhouse, Savannah Wright, Bryce Miller, and Paige Moore.
Good people.
So moved.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I have some discussion on that.
Okay.
I was looking at this, and I cannot find my note right now. But the makeup of the board, to me, just does not reflect the diversity of the city. I had talked to Ms. Page about this a few days ago, and as made up, this would have, I think it was like 3 white men, 3 white women, 1 Hispanic, and 1 black person on it. And to me, it's just the makeup of it is not sufficient to adequately represent the city of Jackson. And I would amend the motion and ask that it be tabled until the next meeting of the council so that some revision can be done in order to make the committee more inclusive. This is public art, and there are a lot of creative people in the city of Jackson, and the representative sample of this committee, to me, It's just not representative of the city as a whole. And I would amend the motion to table this until the next meeting of the council so that additional names can be submitted to make the committee more inclusive.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. We got a motion and a second on that. He's amended to table. Do we have to vote on the first motion and second?
Motion table.
Mr. Chairman. The motion and second was already made on the original motion, then we came to table after the first motion and second was already made.
Can we discuss the amendment?
Mr. Stovall requested.
You can withdraw, yeah.
All right, got to withdraw the motion? Withdrawing the motion, okay, all right. And so we have a motion to table now, Councilman Donnell, correct?
Yes.
Who's agreed to the motion?
She's already withdrawn her motion.
Yes, but he's motioning.
I made the motion. I made the motion.
You made the motion, okay.
Made the motion, yeah. Who is our representation, is that you, Claire, for the Public Arts Commission? Could you speak to the process of selection, please?
And how many people applied?
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I was.
Good morning. So we are currently under a kind of redesign of this board. We are under a consultant process. So we reached out to several people to fill these vacancies. And these are the ones that were able and made sense and applied. So this will fill all of our vacancies. While it's not as diverse as it could be, we have some other people that are finishing their term soon. So there will be more openings. But we do have members from all of the areas in town. So Lewis Giberson, while he's not a Black person, he is a longtime professor at Lane College. We also have an art professor from Union. Lyndon No and Rose Newhouse are both artists in the area. And then currently on the board, we have a owner of a Art on Shannon, who's on the board. So I think it reflects the city and our diversity in the city and touches on all the areas.
You say you think it does?
Yes.
The way it exists now?
Yes.
It would have, if this goes through, it would have 3 white women, 3 white men, 1 black woman, and 1 Hispanic man. And you think that represents the city?
It touches all the areas of the city. So we have someone that works at Lane College who is in East Jackson. We have someone that owns a business downtown, an art business downtown. We have several artists who have art all across the city. We have a professor from our university up north.
So it sounds like you're saying, and I want to give you the opportunity to take it back if you don't mean it. It sounds like you're saying that a person that's white that works at Lane College, that's like almost like being black.
No, but it represents the area.
Okay, but
I don't think we're going to get into the accusatory statement of that. I think what she's talking about is that as far as the art goes, again, there's no this is not a congressional hearing. If we vote, we don't have to grill our staff members about this. They're presented with people that apply, people that are available, people that are willing. And so if there is a motion to table and this body does vote to table, I would encourage this body to help provide names.
Sure,
Because
I would definitely do that.
We are limited in our capacity to go out and find people based on who applies to the boards.
Okay, I can take care of that, Mr. Mayor.
How many members of the committee are there? 8?
9. It has the ability to be 9, so this would fill the 9 seats.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
did you say some vacancies were coming open soon?
Yes, before the end of the year.
Before the end of the year? How many vacancies?
I think we have 1 that'll be up by the end of the year, and then 1 that would be the next year.
Okay. But would that sound better?
There's a motion right now.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask this. Okay, in the event that this were to be tabled, would this impact the function of this board? Would it delay any projects or anything else that we would be working on in the near future? these
Um,
committees?
not necessarily. We are coming to the end of our, approving the plan that would take place, so we do have some things that are coming up, but
And the current board members would stay on until the new board members are appointed if their terms expire.
I'll withdraw my motion with the caveat that you speak with Councilmember Donnell to see if we can further increase diversity with interested participants.
Second.
But no, there's no, you don't have to second the
Oh, sorry.
withdrawal of a motion.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a
Thank you.
question.
Yes.
When you came down here, you said that we reached out to these people and asked if they wanted to be a part of it, and they agreed and they applied. Did we have any type of open
Yes, we have constant.
apply or anything like that, and we didn't have anybody apply?
yes.
So then we started reaching out?
It was kind of all at the same time. Applications are always open, but we reached out to several
So
people.
how many people did actually apply for these seats?
These 6 people applied, because I spoke with, everyone who was interested, and they all decided whether they could apply by, if they could
Okay.
come to meetings and be a part of it.
Yeah. So the motion to accept has been withdrawn, Councilman, so you want to make a motion to table now?
Yes, I so
Okay.
move that we table this.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to table. Any further discussion?
Man, I
Council, please
don't-
vote.
6 and 1 no and 2 abstain.
The Civil Service Board, the appointment of Sam Jones.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
We have budget amendments less than 10,000. Item 16, consideration of invoices over 10,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Be no further business coming before the council. Meeting is adjourned.
So I behaved.